Welcome to the Rabbi's Message. This is Rabbi Elazar Bogomilsky bringing you the weekly Torah portion. This week's Torah portion that will be read, it's always read the week preceding the holiday of Rosh Hashanah, is Parshat Nitzavim. Nitzavim comes from the book of Deuteronomy, Devarim. It's getting closer to the end of the book. And Nitzavim means gathering, standing firmly. And the opening verse says, Atem Nitzavim Hayom. You are standing firmly today, Lefnei Hashem Elokeichem, before God your God, Shiftechem, the heads of your tribe, Zikneichem, the elders, Veshotrechem, the officers, the police officers, and then it says, Kol Ish Yisrael, the entire nation of Israel. The next verse says, the children, the wives, the converts, even those that are considered the water carriers or the wood choppers, each one of you play a crucial role in carrying on the teachings, the wisdom, and this amazing covenant that I've made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. To me, what's so profound and powerful about this week's Torah portion, that it's always read in conjunction prior to the holiday of Rosh Hashanah, is teaching us a profound lesson in how one properly prepares. What's the mindset entering into the holiday, the New Year's, on the Jewish calendar called Rosh Hashanah. The first thing the Torah portion tells us tells the human being that you have to be Nitzavim. You have to be standing firmly. You have to know before who you stand, and you have to know why you're standing here. There is nothing more powerful that can be directed to the human being than understanding the self-appreciation and the purpose of why we're here. Atem, plural, it says. We were all standing together, eagerly listening to the words of Moses, realizing on his last stage, on a physical leadership to the Jewish people, being that he was not granted access to the Holy Land of Israel. In the last 37 days of his life, he inspired, he directed, and he guided and taught every single thing what one would need through the course of life, the teachings, the understandings, the messages. And it sort of gets wrapped up in this week's Torah portion. What's interesting is one of the verses later on in the Torah portion says that Almighty God says, See, I have given you today a choice of life and good, or death and evil. For I am commanding you today to love God, your God, to walk in his ways and to observe his commandments. Not only that, his super-rational commandments, his rational commandments, so that you will live and prosper. God, your God, will then bless you in the land of which you are coming to take possession. The obvious question that one can ask when you read these verses, or even if one is not a scholarly individual, but one wants to be a thinker and take the time to say, wait a second. God's giving us a choice. The verse says, see, I have given you today a choice of life and good or death and evil. You'd name me the person that's healthy, strong, has things going for him or her, would not choose to live, would not choose life. What's this definition, the emphasis that, behold, today I have given you the power to choose. You can choose good, you can choose bad, you can choose life or death. Come on. We all want to live. We all want to prosper. We all want to do good. What is this question? And this perhaps even a statement that's clearly describes a confusion amongst the human being. What do I do? A dilemma. Do I choose? Do I not? Am I supposed to be good? It's my choice. We all say, do we have freedom of will? Do we have freedom of choice? Can we really choose the things that we want to do and be in control without consequences? Nothing in life has that. Everything we know, that eventually it catches up with you. Take health. You can choose to eat the type of food you want. Is there a price tag connected to it? Every doctor, every person that has developed any challenges later on in their life that they found out is based on because they didn't take care of themselves properly, will tell you, "Oy, I made the biggest mistake. Oy, was that a mistake? I should have. I wasn't thinking. I was in the moment." But yet, we all know, choice doesn't always mean it's easy. And this example can relate to any other area in life. If we were given the choice, sometimes we'll follow it, and sometimes we won't. Do we know what's right? Of course we know what's right. Why did God do this? Why the challenge? Why create this uncertainty that all of a sudden we have to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, I know you told me, God, I got to choose. But now you're telling me, not only do I have to choose between good and bad, but you're asking me to choose life. Come on. I got my marbles. I'm a happy-go person. I'm not looking to go anywhere. I want to stick around for a long time. Sign me up. I'm in. Is that what the verse is teaching us? You see, it's important to understand that every verse, every letter in the Torah is not here merely to guide the human being to be, spiritual, holy. Let me throw you a book of do's and don'ts. Follow that book, you'll be okay. That's not Torah. Torah is not a book of do's and don'ts. Torah is a book of guidance, of inspiration, of encouragement, showing you a path that doesn't fail, a 100% organic perspective of how to live, a just, righteous, inspirational, good life, simply because you're following these verses. They're trial and error. If you follow it, it says, there's reward. If you don't, there's the opposite. Many areas we can say, I get it. I understand. It works here. I can connect to it. I can relate to it. But when it comes to the concepts of life, to choose life, that's where I throw my arms up in the air and I say, come on. This is something also I have to choose. You have to choose what major you want, who you want to marry, what food you want to consume, what type of clothes you want to dress, what type of music you want to listen to. All these things are a choice. Where do you want to live? Where do you want to work? Your hobbies. These are all great choices. Yes, of course, we know you can go this way, you can go that way. This will make you happier, this will less. How do you choose life? How do you tell a person? That's what Torah is. Torah is a lesson for us. So how does the verse come out so boldly and request of the human being to choose life? Good and bad, I do understand. Life or death does not make sense. Perhaps the perspective is as follows. What the Almighty God is requesting from the human being is to realize who you are, why you're here. Living does not mean occupying ear space, square footage space, consumption, being vocal. That is not called living. The definition of living means purpose. Living means making others live as well. When you're alive, you're electricity. Electricity doesn't just affect itself, but anyone that comes in contact with it becomes electrified, becomes illuminated, becomes inspired. That's called living. Of course, God says, you can live, you can exist, but we know living and existing are two very different channels. The more a person exists, the less you live. It's that simple. The more a person exists, they want everyone to know who they are and why they exist. Their ego grows. Their desires grow. Their need grows. To the point that they don't have room for anyone around them. Because it's all been taking up the important space called existing. Let me give you a parable perhaps to understand this unique definition, the transition between existing and living. A person goes out and purchases an important piece of art. There's history, there's color, there's unique talent. And the person says, you know, I have a blank wall in my house. It's a perfect backdrop for this type of art. And over the course of the next couple of years, this individual becomes a small art collector, goes to all the auctions and searches and looks at every single time there's a art gallery show going on. He or she is there. And they buy piece by piece. Let's call them a couple. This couple goes ahead and acquired a mass amount of art. They realize that, hey, you know, my home is too small for my art collection. I think it's time. The wife turns to the husband and says, honey, we need a larger home. And they buy that next home. It's magnificent. It's beautiful. It's everything they've dreamed of. And they can do it. They've reached that level of success. And every single wall is full with art. There's the ooh and the ah when you walk through the door. Magnificent. Beautiful. What happens is, one day, the wife turns to the husband and says, we haven't taken a proper vacation for years. I read somewhere in one of these distant islands, it's a calm, relaxing environment. We can gather our thoughts. We can reconnect. And we can be a whole new reality. The husband gets excited. They book their flight. They pack their suitcase. And they come to this small little hotel. It's exotic. It's a boutique. They open up their suitcase. They sit down on the bed. And they turn to each other. They say, wow, we're living. This is living. And you think to yourself, what's wrong with this scenario? What's wrong with this picture? Everything you want, everything you've tried to accomplish in the course of your life is back there. Back at home. The art, the furniture, the views, the structure, the neighborhood, the zip code. You got it all. The problem was, that was you in existing mode. In existing, you need objects to validate your identity. In existing mode, you need objects to identify you as a human being. To acknowledge where you are, what do you need, what are you doing, who do you measure up to? That's called existing. In the living mode, it's a different reality. You need nothing. You need the awareness. You need the self-understanding of redirecting your thoughts to your initial purpose, your direction. That's called living. Moses teaches this profound verse from God and tells the human being that I want you to choose to live. Don't choose to exist. Of course, everyone wants to exist. Which normal person is going to say, no, I don't want to exist anymore. I'm done. The question is, do you want to live or exist? Living is a new perspective. Living is a new experience. To live means to have meaning, to have purpose, to have life, to have the electricity that when a person comes in contact with you, you electrify them. You inspire them to the point that they say, I can do that too. That's what this week's Torah portion so poignantly and profoundly discusses and analyzes. That the Atem Nitzavim, the idea when we gather firmly, there's the identity, there's that strength, there's that direction, there's a simple, organic interpretation of what it means to live. Don't acquire things. Things are existing. Living means with purpose. Living means movement. Moving in that direction that you can help another person realize that they too can live. This is such a simple play on the words, existing or living. You might say, wow, great, existing, living. It's not a play on the words. It's a reality check. When the Torah portion tells us, see, I have given you today a choice of life and good, or death and evil. Life and good. Living is always good. Existing doesn't mean that it's good. If a person can walk away with today's message, and realize the importance of understanding what it means to live, and understand what it means that I want to identify why I'm here and why I'm living, then when the day of Rosh Hashanah comes, we won't merely be a pawn that focuses on the drapery, the arts, the furniture, the cars, the fashion, the music, the networking of where am I in society. But a person will reach new heights, a new level, a new understanding of what it means to be living, what it means to be hachayim v'hatov, which means life and goodness. I want to wish everyone a blessed week, a week of internal search to reach that level of goodness is only through one simple perspective, and that is to identify yourself as a person that wants to live, not just merely exist. Best of luck, Shabbat Shalom, and let us take this to heart and realize how we can incorporate this in our life. And I am certain that with this perspective, we will be that living example for many others, that they too can take this message and inspire their neighbors, their friends, their community. You're listening to the Rabbi's Message. This is Rabbi Elazar Bogomilsky. We'll be back same time, same place next week.